bring in Chief Meteorologist Alana Brophy, who is watching the forecast for us. Alana, we talk about the wildland-urban interface, and as our population grows, we build homes into these areas with brush and trees, which puts homes further at risk for these kinds of fires.
Well, isn't that the truth? But you just heard from a true Utahn there, a bench dweller with sprinklers on the roof of the house. This isn't their first fire season. We understand that we're in a high desert community and we take the proper precautions. Unfortunately, the weather pattern this summer has left us extremely dry as drought conditions continue to worsen. Today, the winds also upticking that danger. I want to show you because we've received great videos from viewers. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Weather at abc4.com. This is when the fire initially broke out. Tammy sharing this, and you see that thicker smoke. The live pictures Brian was showing you at the top of the newscast shows some of that smoke easing just a little bit. Good news, and we're hoping fire crews get a good grip on what's going on. Temperatures in the 90s. We do know those westerly winds are problematic because they're pushing flames, and in this situation on the bench, they're going to push those flames up the mountain, which you would think, okay, well, that's not people, but this is where we live and our communities being impacted. 19-mile-per-hour wind gusts there, very low relative humidity. We already know that those temperatures are hot. We were above average today. We tied record heat. Now, why are we seeing westerly winds? A lot of the time when we talk fire danger, you hear me talk about southwesterly winds, but it's the positioning of our high clockwise flow with a ridge of high pressure centered up over Utah today, and that clockwise flow enhancing westerly winds in northern Utah. Look at Logan. Wendover, Salt Lake has seen those numbers jump, and so has southwestern Wyoming. So in between this, you have Ogden, where we're getting those winds that have increased and can easily spread flames. We have red flag warnings in effect for the Wasatch Mountains. That's going to hold until tomorrow night. Southwestern Wyoming and southern Idaho also underneath that critical fire danger. But the higher elevations throughout the state as we head into our Thursday, we'll continue to see this elevated fire threat central Utah, the Swell, eastern Utah, the Uintas, where the Beulah fire is burning. Unfortunately, we're going to see these conditions worsening with a little more wind and the dry heat. Let's talk about those temperatures. We tied the record in Salt Lake, hitting 102. We did this back in 2007. We did it again today. High heat, winds, and dry conditions. Right now, 96 on that sensor in Ogden. Triple digits in Salt Lake and Provo, 106 in St. George. So I showed you the red flag warnings, but an elevated fire threat does hold on for the West Desert where we don't have warnings and into south central Utah. We're going to break down the concerns and when we should see these conditions easing just a little bit coming up in my full forewarned forecast. For now, we'll send it back over to Brian.
Alana, thank you very much. Our team coverage continues now with our northern Utah correspondent, Cade Gardner. He's been talking with neighbors. And Cade, the context here, the fire's burning, 29,000 people without power, some evacuation orders in place. What are you seeing from where you are, and what are the neighbors telling you?
Yeah, Brian, well, we've moved down the hill a little bit since we last talked. Like you were saying, 29,000 people without power. That's actually impacting cell service as well. So if our live shot is a little bit glitchy, that's why. Now, we are actually at the command center for this fire right now. I want to get the address right because this is important for people who live in the area. We are at an LDS meeting house, 3352 North, 1050. Them to stay informed. If they have any questions, the sheriff's office is here. They can come and ask any questions. If they have animals like livestock that need to be moved, if they're worried about that, the fairgrounds, Weber County Fairgrounds, are also accepting those animals. We've heard that this has now gone up to 150 acres. Again, it's impacting power. There are at least 15 homes that were evacuated. We are not told if they have been able to return yet. Alana was talking about the winds pushing the fire up the hill. Firefighters say that's what happened, and it actually helped, get that fire away from some of those homes in the last hour or so. And we did talk to neighbors who are up the hill. We talked to one family, actually two families who've lived in the area for 3 years. They've never seen anything like this, but when they moved to the area, it's a newer neighborhood. They expected that something like this would happen. One of the moms told me that she was at work in Salt Lake City. She got a text from her sister saying, I think there's a fire near your house. And so she called her daughter, who was working at the soda shop Rush down the street. She looked outside and said, yes, it is. So she ran home to make sure that she could get her dogs out of the house just in case they had to evacuate as well. Here's what she had to say.
We've kind of seen a few more fires kind of spark up here and there, but it's been kind of nice because there's been a lot of personnel here on the scene. There's been more helicopters showing up, so it's kind of put me a little bit more at ease, but it's still kind of uneasy because there's still, a chance for it to change direction or, spark up even bigger.
Yeah, and it could spark up even bigger. She was telling me that was Felicia. She was telling me that, even though the smoke is a lot less than it was, they can't see flames from their house anymore. They're going to be on the edge of their seat all night. Again, if they or anyone else in the area need information, they can come down here to this LDS meeting house where the sheriff's office is set up with up-to-date information as to evacuations and things that may need to be done. They say, just in case, it's always a good idea to keep a go bag in your house near the front door, just in case those evacuations orders do come down. However, they are feeling pretty confident with the way the fire is moving right now. And we are going to be out here. We're going to have this continued coverage throughout the evening as things progress. Reporting live in North Ogden, Cade Garner. Back to you, Brian.